Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to First View. Today I'm joined by Mikaela Woods from KX. Welcome, Mikaela.
Thank you so much for having me, David. Excited to
Uh,
be here.
Could you tell me, one, introduce yourself, and two, introduce KX?
Sure. So I'm a developer advocate at KX, which means I work with our community and our developers trying to connect how they use our technology, make it easier, and also, make work with our developers in-house and our product teams to take that feedback from the community back as well. Um, KX, for anyone that doesn't know, is a real-time and historical database system. It addresses some of the biggest data challenges around huge data volumes, really fast real-time data, having completeness, timeliness, and efficiency in your data system. Works, we've got a lot of implementations in financial industry, but we go beyond that into high-tech manufacturing and aerospace and defense and other industries as well.
One of the things I really like to do, whilst I've got you here, is talk a little bit about you and your journey. And I think everyone would agree there's not enough women in technology, and anything we can do to promote women in technology has got to be a good thing. So I'm hoping you don't mind if we talk a little bit about how you got here.
Yeah, of
So how
course.
did you end up in finance?
So yeah, um, you know, First Derivatives at the time was headquartered locally to me. And to be honest, one of the biggest draws was the global opportunities and the chance to travel at the time as well. I was a bit skeptical about joining a financial consultancy because of my background in mechanical engineering, but I didn't feel inspired by the kind of jobs and roles my, peers were going for in those more, traditional manufacturing and mechanical industries. And through speaking with others and through the interview process, I learned more and more about the technical opportunities that are actually available in the financial industry, which really appealed to me. Um, so even though I didn't have the domain expertise, I, took a chance that what I was hearing was, correct and that I would be able to pick that up along the way. And then, the more time I spent, I realized how technology really, is at the core of a lot of, the problem solving in that space. And I was able to apply a lot of the things I learned through my mechanical engineering degree. I did do some software engineering as part of that as well. Um, and in my first few weeks, I was already applying that to real life projects, which was really exciting. So another piece of it was, just the flexibility in consulting and in financial consulting. I knew I didn't want to be stuck in one role or project for too long because I was young. I didn't know what I wanted to do necessarily. It's hard to know at that age. Um, so I liked the idea of developing a more well-rounded skill set, trying different things before being pigeonholed too early on. Different people, did also in years coming behind me, did also choose this path. A lot of the colleagues I worked with in my early days were from those, engineering backgrounds as well. So First Derivatives at the time really encouraged, having groups of graduates that had that mixed skill set. It wasn't just, all financial or all legal or all of that. So um, I wasn't alone for sure.
That's good. It's great because because it's been in finance for quite some time. In fact, I would say that KX actually has something of a cult following in finance. I've been obviously been working with KX for quite some time, and there's a lot going on. There's a lot of new developments in the industry, in finance and outside. What are the key things that you see are really driving the market at the moment?
So yeah, most recently, I think what I've observed, and just from what the problems our customers are coming up with and coming to us with today are, um, one of the big things is real-time data is still a big focus more and more, particularly in industries like finance. And the volumes of data is just growing more and more all the time. So the ability to act on it quickly and derive insights is really essential to remain competitive. Um, Another trend, of course, is AI. We can't escape that, especially when it comes to doing things like automating your data analysis or improving your decision making. One of the key things we're looking at KX is what we're calling temporal AI, which is the idea of bringing that time element in AI, and not a lot of people are doing that side of it. For example, combining your historical and your real-time market data, finding trends and patterns, um, and using AI on that data set as well to come up with predictive insights. So that's still a new area. Customers are just starting off there, but they're becoming more and more interested in that side of things as well, which is very interesting to see.
Can you just say a bit more about that? Because that is quite interesting. And would I be right in saying that you're observing current trading patterns and then looking backwards and saying this is similar to, and
Yes.
finding analogy or analogous data trends from the past? Is that how it works?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So, if you think about trading, for example, you can understand your current market conditions, but that is only so much use. If you can put that in the context of your historical trends, you can get so much more information out of your data set. And that's one thing that KDB Plus and KX do that's quite unique. We seamlessly integrate real-time and historical data. So you can compare that live market data to past patterns. So you can think of some applications of that, maybe like anomaly detection, um, and risk assessment and predictive modeling in other industries as well. It's not just in finance. People want to do that kind of analysis. So, if a stock is experiencing some sudden price change and you can see comparing that to the past, it's likely to be either a larger trend or maybe it's a short-term thing, that will give the trader some insight and help them make better decisions in the moment as well. So yeah.
Are you seeing people get some good success with that kind of thing?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. It's been around like for a long time, but the thing that KX is bringing is the speed of being able to analyze the historical and the real time at the same time, um, much faster than, a lot of people would have had, one data system for capturing the real time stock data and then maybe using something different for historical. And then there's that layer in between of getting the data in the same place and analyzing it, usually with two different softwares. So we're basically making that faster for people to do that kind of analysis.
Yeah, that's really interesting because you really need to know that now, not yesterday, not tomorrow. You kind of want it as it's happening. That's
Yeah.
when it's most beneficial.
Yeah, definitely. The industries, a lot of the same challenges and problems are there. Dealing with real-time data and analyzing that historical data set. It's not unique to finance. For example, in manufacturing, the application of things like predictive analytics on sensor data is a really good example of that. So you're connecting the real-time sensor data from machinery, things like temperatures, vibrations, and other metrics. So by comparing that to the historical data, you can predict when a machine might be likely to fail or when it might need maintenance. So that really minimizes things like downtime, and making your production more efficient. So that's quite similar, like the technology and the analysis and even the analytics you're going to write to do that and the dashboards you're going to create would look very similar to maybe predicting market movements.
That's really interesting. One of the other things you do, I know you're doing some work in, is unstructured data in the matching up of structured data and unstructured data. That seems like a really interesting challenge because, especially in the world of financial markets, when there's a ton of unstructured data, and timeliness must be a big issue here.
Yeah, definitely. That's a huge new focus for a lot of institutions. So, like, obviously, traditionally, the market data has been highly structured. So, you've got your price feeds, trade feeds, your order books. It's very strict format. You have a specific schema. You can save that easily down to a database and run your analytics on it. But, like you said, institutions are really looking at increasing that unstructured data. So, you know, let's give some examples here for people that don't know what unstructured data is or what we're talking about. Um, One big one in trading is news sentiment analysis. So, social media, news articles, even things like earnings call transcripts, bringing that in alongside your structured market data is really crucial for certain types of traders now because they can make more informed trading decisions if they have that alongside. Um, and KDB Plus helps you do that by ingesting that, and you can along with your real time and your historical, you can now also bring in your unstructured data into the same environment. So that's we are really like a one-stop shop for doing all your analysis, and being able to have all that different type of data in one place. And another example of unstructured data is natural language querying. So instead of having to code up your queries and understand maybe Python or the Q language that comes along with KDB, and enabling users to ask their questions in plain English. So how did these stocks react to some interest rate hike or something? So being able to get your insights, um,
Mm.
via natural language querying, and also then your results coming back could be from structured and unstructured data. Then giving that answer back.
It's like having Claude on top of your data set.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not as easy. It's not as easy as it sounds. There's challenges that come along with it, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, more people are looking to try and incorporate that for sure.
Yeah, so just the way we interact with data and the whole AI thing has changed a lot. So our ability just to say, actually, I want to be able to ask it questions, and I want to be able to ask it intelligent questions and maintain the context. That I can see that being a great use case. Which one of the things I know you also get involved in is like search for bad actors. No, this let's call it surveillance, call it whatever you want, and there are probably lots of use cases for this. Finance would be looking for a particular, trading patterns or trading activities that would indicate bad actors, like market spoofing or insider trading or something like that. But the same must be true of other industries as well, where you're also looking for not necessarily an actor, as in a person, but an action that could be indicating of something going wrong. Are you seeing a lot of the KX work and that real-time data analysis directed in those directions as well?
Yeah, like definitely. We actually have a product called KX Surveillance. And that is, yeah, like you said, in use for the financial industries, but also in industries like manufacturing and even aerospace and defense. So for example, in aerospace and defense, real-time data processing is really critical, and being timely with your up-to-date information. So different radar systems and different sensors can generate a lot of data, and you can analyze the historical data again to detect potential threats or anomalies. So similar to how financial markets require, making that decision making on streaming data, um, you could use the same kind of technology in that kind of industry to maybe try and identify things that are happening that shouldn't be happening. Let's just say, but yeah, and again, I did mention manufacturing before, but like things like predictive analytics there as well. So has this sensor, are these sensor readings normal? Is there, you know, it's not maybe as exciting as the other use cases in finance where there's, somebody doing something wrong, or in aerospace and defense. But, is this tool going to fail in the next 24 hours, and getting ahead of that so that it doesn't cause major disruption and downtime in a manufacturing line as
Yeah,
well.
I find that's very interesting. One of the things I'm really interested, I'm quite passionate about actually, is a lot of the lessons learned between different industries. So it's very interesting what you said about what's going on in things like aerospace and manufacturing, where the amount of real-time data coming off IoT devices, and how different industries can learn from it. So I think it's a really interesting. But area. I'd like to get some of the developers together to discuss some of those problems. But Mikaela, this has been really good. Thank you very much for being on First View, and great to have you here.
Thank you so much, David.